Investigative Discovery has a new docuseries that I'm here to talk about, and you need to make sure you go watch. Folks, let's jump into my review of the new docuseries Lost Women of Highway 20. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new docuseries, The Lost Women of Highway 20, which is available right now on Discovery Plus by way of Investigative Discovery, the ID channel, one of my favorite channels. And I'm super excited to talk about this because not only is this just right down my alley in terms of what I like to consume in terms of television on a regular, to the point that I like it so much I never even review it because I just enjoy it and I just kick back and have a good time. But I totally wanted to talk about this one because, well, first off, it is from the executive producer, Academy Award winner, Octavia Spencer. So I'm like, okay, this is a big deal here. And certainly enough, just the subject matter of Lost Women of Highway 20 was a story I was not familiar with. So across the board, I was super excited. Couldn't wait to talk about it. And you totally need to check it out as it is available right now on Discovery Plus and ID channel. So let me tell you right now, Octavia Spencer also does some narration in this. Not a lot. So, you know, keep your sort of your expectations a little lower on that. She's not giving you a lot there, but she's definitely giving you about 2 to 3 lines each and every episode. While there is 3 episodes, they're about an hour each. And there's just so much that happens. Like, I was really struggling in terms of what I wanted to say, in terms of not spoiling things, but there's so much information. And they also got a lot of good interviews with this. So a lot of good testimonies from folks that really brings this story full circle. And you can also kind of draw your own little conclusions about some things as well too, because there's definitely some things I'm thinking to myself like this is way out of hand, and there's some folks that need to be held a little bit more accountable that's involved with this here. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Octavia is giving me full-blown Poppy Parnell. If you watch Truth Be Told, then you already know what I'm talking about here. You know, she giving me the full-blown podcast vibes for her being a part of this, as she's you know, giving her tidbits about the things that are happening here. Now, the first thing I do absolutely want to say is I am not normalizing this and or desensitizing the subject matter at all. But once again, do we have a story where the cops are blaming women and by no means taking into considerations or even valuing their story to any degree? You have folks coming forth basically pointing the finger at a person that had a long history of things, and they're just like, it's your fault because you're a woman. And like, this is disgusting nonetheless, but it's so common to the point that it's nerve-wracking. And no, we can't avoid our history and our truth to this. But like, again, it's another story where you have women that if the authorities, should I say, if the authorities had just taken just the smallest bit of consideration, there would be less victims, more survivors, and we wouldn't be having a story to be talking about in the degree that we are. That's just, you know, my biggest thing is that by the time you get to about the second episode, you're just like, it just doesn't make no sense, man. How many times? And like, granted, when you talk about the folks that's involved here, you do have family members of victims. You have a survivor, period, a person who was attacked and was able to escape with her life. You have authorities, and just to focus on our survivor here, she comes forward and outlines the entire experience of her being raped, you know, just her mindset, trying to get back to her baby girl, all these different events, even to the point where she had to play nice with this serial killer to get home, immediately tell folks that she's been raped, goes to authority, and they blame her How much liquor did you have? Huh. Yeah, no. It's totally your fault. Like, over and over again, how many times have you heard that story, right? And it's just horrendous. And as much as the serial killer is at fault, you kind of look at the authorities. You said, like, y'all could have did better. And it's interesting because a lot of the authorities that was involved with this case are part of the interviews. So while they're coming off talking about like how they was handling this investigation, I can't help but to look at them like, we wouldn't even be here if some of you all would have just took a moment and listened to some of these folks. And that's across the board because, like, you know, we have a jogger missing. We had these two other girls that went missing. Even this is his dad, but the serial killer stepdaughter also was missing. And while this is not a spoiler per se, but like while they were able to get justice for the jogger, Kate Turner, the other ones didn't. So it's sad. And then while I named 4 victims here, 1 survivor, there's still this idea of how many more folks were victims that we don't even get to hear their stories. Just how many more folks out there, you know, that fell victim to this guy, that their story was never ever being able to be told. So like, it's a lot. And I will say this, like, what I thought which was really unique about this is that they piled so much on the first 2 episodes that by the time you got to the third, you're like, well, what are they going to talk about? And then they just open up a whole new can of things. And it was like, I was kind of jaw dropped. Like, I didn't know how they were going to fill the last like 30 minutes of stuff. But, you know, let's give some more detail. I'm definitely giving you my thoughts and reactions to things, but this does take place back in there's a couple of different time periods here, but 1977 is pretty much where the timeline sort of starts, all the way up until about 2012. And I mean, this is from when our first victim is missing all the way up to the point of him being in jail. There's some there's an audio recording of our serial killer, John Aykroyd, who still tried to plead his innocence all the way to the point of the case after him when this became a cold case. Because again, the lost woman of Highway 20. I've named 4 victims, 1 survivor. And so why would the title of the film be named that if that's all they had to to account for? And again, when you get to the 3rd episode, again, it just rips the can wide open and you understand more about this guy's employment, how he's able to target his victims, use his employment towards his advantage, to take advantage of folks. It just gives you chills, just how horrendous it is. And while there were plenty of remains on this Highway 20, there were still so many folks that were missing, unidentified, and cold cases. And again, families won't get justice, they won't get closure, because this guy, once he was once he went to jail, and died, then what happened after that? A lot of these other stories weren't told, so they died with him, because we all knew all of the victims and their families and anybody that was anywhere close to him. He was named the pervert at one point, and folks knew what he was up to, but they just turned a blind eye to him so many different times. It's just decades of terror with this guy. That's just the easiest way to put it here. But yeah, in terms of the production of the show, they did a really good job into getting a lot of good testimony from folks. The interview styling and how they did it. The narration by Octavia was very good. All of the cinematography in terms of this highlighting this area, and sort of giving you a visual depiction of how he was operating and why, just this area was sort of used towards his advantage to do what he did, his wrath for terror this entire time. And then, obviously interviews with folks that were affected by this, their emotions, but yet their bravery to come forth and tell their story. I mean, they just hit all of that, man. I just thought that, like, this was a very, very well put together docuseries. And the other thing too is this, like, when you start to get into like this guy going to court and just like what happened. I mean, let's just talk about, for instance, the no contest that he took because of his plea deal and the records being sealed. A lot of question marks goes up in your head, and you start to want to do a little bit of research yourself. So like, I thought that was interesting that this also did give you a lot to work with. It does still send you down this path of wanting to know more about what's happening in terms of the remains of folks, the cold case itself, and just how further along did they go with, trying to bring closure to these families of the folks that also went missing on Highway 20 by this monster that I just refuse to just keep saying his name, but just in case, so y'all just, you understand that, like, I don't want to by no means try to glorify this person and what he did, but John Ackroyd, and that's the second time and last time I'll say about that, and what he did on this Oregon highway. So I think with all of this, it does still provide you an important message, and something I said very early in this review is that we just took a moment and did a lessons learned here, and realized that, one, you should be believing women, and two, listen to your children was another very important theme. When they're talking about them reporting them being harmed and the dangers, not looking the other way, not taking it or minimizing it, but absolutely escalating it and taking it as severe and serious as it is. And that also is a big catalyst to preventing more and more folks to having a fate with some of these folks that were involved with it. Because and that's not something I derived from this. This is something that folks that were personally affected by this wanted to ensure that the viewers took away from this, which I thought was important. So like, yeah, you'll get your own messages from this as well too, but the folks that was affected by this decades of terror also had something that they wanted to make sure that you understood. And I just thought that was beautiful that they were able to do that. So, but yeah, amazing docuseries again on Discovery Plus. Check it out, folks. 3 episodes, about an hour each. The Women of Highway 20 right here. Check it out, man. It's a good one. It's absolutely a good one. And again, executive producer Octavia Spencer. That alone right there is to say, oh, what's she up to? I need to see what that's about. And it's definitely absolutely solid. Definitely worth a watch. But yep, get in the comments, folks. Let me know your thoughts about this when you check it out. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.
Hey, Lux.